Hey folks, listen up. From the creators and executive producers Marc and Jay Duplass comes a new anthology series called Room 104, premiering July 28th at 11:30 p.m. on HBO. Set in a single room of an average American motel, each episode of Room 104 tells the story of different assorted characters who pass through it. With performances by James Van Der Beek, Jay Duplass, and Orlando Jones, each episode plays like a mini-movie, ranging from comedy to drama to horror, with the tone, the characters, and the era all changing from one week to the next. One room, infinite possibilities. Room 104 premieres July 28th at 11:30 p.m. on HBO. Okay? All right. So let's do our show. The show. My show. This show. Okay? All right.
Lock the gate!
All right, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers, what the fuck buddies, what the fucking-ears, what the fuckaroos, what the fuckadelics? What's happening? I'm Marc Maron. This is my podcast, WTF. Thank you for tuning in, for making the choice, for hanging out with me and my mind and my guests and my mouth and my weird lisp and the moving lozenge in my mouth on occasion. I gotta get off them again. I think my body is turned on them. So it's not having the same effect anymore. Randy Newman is on the show today, and I can't tell you what a honor it was for me to have him in here, because I love him. I love his work. I've always liked him as a person. When I was a kid, obviously I don't know him. I never met him before, but he was one of the first guys that really blew my mind when I was turned on to his music by a kid I used to ride a bus with. And I think the first records I had were Good Old Boys and Sail Away, and must have been in junior high. And I was just sort of like, man, this stuff is beautiful, it's poignant, it's cutting, it's funny, I loved him. And I always have loved him. And he used to appear on Letterman, and he was hilarious. And I just tell you, for years I've been trying to get him on this show, and you're going to hear it today. And I think I managed the fanboyness. This was not an all-out fanboy interview. I was engaged and interested, and it wasn't just me, being beside myself. Yeah, man, I'm all right. I'm out there. I'm doing the comedy. I'm doing the new stuff. It's so funny. There's a comedy boom. People are like, what's happening? Why is there a comedy boom? Because when people are terrified of the end of the world on a daily basis, they tend to seek some relief and distraction. And why is the economy so good still? Why is the stock market so good? Because when Americans are terrified, we turn to stuff. Oh my God, this is horrendous. I need some new shoes. I need a car. I imagine someone should check the traffic on the free porn sites. It's got to be out of control. Some people turn to God. Other people turn to stuff. Shiny stuff, moving stuff, things that make me feel good, things that make me look at myself and go, yay, things that go fast. Anything to get me away from this very in-my-face existential panic that is founded in reality, not just the ingrained consciousness of one's mortality, but to have it in your face every day and in the hands of somebody else that you have no fucking control over. Yeah, that'll lead you right to your dick. Right to the store, right to the ice cream pint, right to the comedy club, right to Amazon, right, whatever. That's the way the American economy works. Holy shit, I can't deal. Hey, will that thing make me feel better? How much is it? Hey, look, if you're hiring, folks, listen up. Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? Finding great talent can be tough. Thankfully, with ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100-plus job sites with just one click. Then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job. Better than anyone else, folks. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, WTF listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Maron. All right? So if you want to try it for free, get going to ZipRecruiter.com/Maron. Okay? All right. Oh, yeah, you know what? Also, this is exciting. This is getting more exciting because the book, you know, as I've told you, we've got a book coming out in October called Waiting for the Punch, Words to Live By from the WTF podcast. And I kind of want to give you a good idea of what the book is about. But I also want to say that there's already feedback coming in from the few copies that are out in the world that we gave away at BookCon, and some people have gotten hold of them. It's really compelling and powerful, and I'm very proud of it. Like, because one of my favorite books is Please Kill Me, The Uncensored Oral History of Punk by Legs McNeil and Gillian McCain. And we wanted to make something as good as that book. All right? So Waiting for the Punch is actually a deep dive into some of the most common themes that come up over and over on this show. Relationships, failure, success, addiction, mental health, parenting. Each chapter is a different theme, and we have conversations with more than 150 people in the book who have all been on this show, all chiming in together about these shared experiences and ideas. And it was a hell of a thing to wrangle. Brendan McDonald is the genius of the editing, the compiling. Guy's got a memory as a steel trap. Is that that saying? But anyways, look, I want to give you an example, and I think this will work. In the chapter on relationships, you've got Conan O'Brien, Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, and Rob Reiner all talking about friendship. These were 4 separate interviews done over several years, but the way it's arranged in the book, it's all part of one big conversation. All right, so take a listen to this.
When I came out to Los Angeles, I met all these people.
85?
In 85, I came out here, and over time I met all these people, and it's the same cast of characters.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone just keeps popping up, and it is funny that you're assigned a set of characters when you're born, and they keep showing up in your life, and that's just how it works.
Surprise!
Yeah, oh, it's you again. I really believe that there is a force in the universe that has a sense of humor. These things are just too
it's beyond
weird.
coincidence.
Yeah,
and sometimes Carl Reiner.
Yeah,
I get Carl to come up.
You spend a lot of time with him still, right?
Oh yeah, almost every other night.
Yeah,
3 nights a week I'll be at Carl's house.
Yeah,
Carl loves more than anything what he calls realies that we do, and Carl is so proud that we do them only for ourselves. We don't do them for an audience. We don't do them for another person.
You just try to one-up each other?
Yeah, we try to really amaze each other with where we're going with our minds. You know?
Yeah.
And we're still pretty good at it.
So you guys just sit and hang out for an hour or two?
Well, about 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And sometimes while we're watching something that's not terribly, he'll fall asleep, and I won't wake him because he drives home, and I'm saying he probably better he sleeps here than falls asleep behind the wheel.
What was that thing he told me about movies, that you like watching movies with certain phrases in them?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
What?
And it started with the Bourne, the Bourne series.
Yeah.
And the phrases are, secure the perimeter, lock all doors. and if one character in the movie says, get some rest. If those words are in the movie, that movie's a good movie.
And as you get older, you don't see people as much anymore.
No, that's true. And why do you think that is?
Time and...
I think it has to do, I really believe, that whole thing they say, where you're born alone, you die alone, that bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think what happens as you get older, you start thinking about, that.
Yeah.
And also that you don't want to spend any time with anybody that's going to annoy you or make it uncomfortable. And as you get older, you realize that there are more and more people that annoy you. So you limit your world keeps narrowing and getting narrower.
And this happens at a subconscious level or a conscious level?
I think it's unconscious. I don't think you're consciously saying, I think I'm going to narrow my world now. No, you think, I don't really like that person that much. So why should I stay? It's like when you're young, you never leave a movie theater until the movie's over.
Right.
Now you go, I don't really like, why do I have to watch the last hour of this piece of crap? Because I have such a limited time on the planet.
And now with phones and computers, it's like all the time is eaten up, unnecessarily eaten up.
Yes.
And
you trick yourself into believing
you're working.
That you're actually either working or communicating with people.
Right.
I'm texting, I'm emailing, you're not talking to anybody.
Exactly.
You're talking to the computer.
Right. And actually talking to people is like, it's
like we're doing now.
It becomes exhausting.
It is exhausting.
If you could text somebody, it's like,
oh boy,
I don't gotta talk to that guy.
I'm so happy to not have to talk to him. Yeah. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
You look at this show like Friends, right? Friends, the show Friends.
It's so funny.
And you've got all these people.
Yeah.
They're in their, I guess their 20s or something.
Right.
And they're hanging out with each other. And I guess that's what you do. You go in packs. But when you get into your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you don't do that anymore.
You got kids.
You got kids. You hang out with them. And then when you get older, you don't have that. Hey, let's go and hang out at the coffee shop. You don't do it.
Maybe you get one guy.
Yeah, one guy.
I mean, I talked to your father. I was at the house you grew up in, I think.
Yeah.
And he says he hangs out with Mel every night.
Mel and my dad every single night.
Really? Every night?
Yeah, virtually every night.
That's really something.
Listen, it's wonderful that they have each other. They met each other when they were in their 20s doing the shows. And to have that kind of bond and that bond to stick, and they make each other laugh, they enjoy each other's company. They both lost their spouses recently, so they have that. And they say that, they watch any movie that has Secure the Perimeter in it. They watch it.
That was Conan O'Brien, Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, and Rob Reiner, as you'll read in Chapter 4 of Waiting for the Punch. You can pre-order your copy now, and starting today, we've got a little bonus for anyone who pre-orders the book. When you send in your proof of purchase, we'll send you a special Waiting for the Punch book plate signed by me that you can stick right on the inside cover. Just go to WTFpod.com and click on book at the top of the page, or click on the cover of the book anywhere on the site. Then pre-order the book to get your signed book plate. Dig it. You good? All right. So, also I forgot to mention that, as many of you know, the great Martin Landau died last week. And I had one of the most amazing conversations with him about a lot of things, but about acting a lot, and it was very helpful to me. And I'm planning on re-listening to it myself if we get picked up for another season of Glow. We haven't heard yet, but I just want to make sure that I'm engaging as well as I could be. But we can all listen to that episode, because we'll keep that episode in the free feed. It's episode 779. And it's a great conversation about acting, about film, about life, and it was, he's going to be missed. He lived a good, long life. So, speaking about good, long lives, what I've been doing, as opposed to going to Vancouver, as I've been locking into my life, doing work around the house. I cleaned the garage. It's clean. Vacuumed it, dusted it, got rid of shit, organized a lot of papers, went through stuff, and I dug up an old, it's what you call an 8th step list in the recovery jargon in the program, 12-step program. And it's one of these things where you make a list of all the people you've harmed, and you're willing to make an amends. Now, many of you have heard me make amends before, on this show. But this is one of the first lists I ever made when I got sober almost 18 years ago. It'll be 18 years, August 9th. And it's just very weird to see this list. I don't know where it was. It was here in a pile of papers, and I almost threw it out. I thought I threw it out, and I didn't get to a lot of them, man. And some of them I don't know if I need to make. And so I just was going through it, and Let's just go through it real quick. Ex-wives. Yeah, those I did. I did those pretty effectively. My brother, my mom, my dad, yup. My ex-in-laws. Yeah, that's outstanding. I should do that one. Amy, yeah, we're good. Devin, good. Sarah, we're good. Gail, good. Alan, I'm not clear what I have to do there. Janet, I think we're okay. Kathy, we're okay. Bob, I don't know you anything. Rolf, I think we're all right. Gary, I don't even know if you're alive. Oh, here's a big bunch of teachers. Mr. Ross, Mrs. Block, Mr. Sanderson, Mrs. Randall, Mrs. Weber, Mrs. Croco, Mr. Clout. Yeah, I was difficult. I apologize. And I'm sorry for making you cry, Mrs. Weber. Brill, I'm okay with. Adam Sandler, pending. Cliff, dude, I know what this is about. This is about some party that happened in a hotel room. There's a bunch of us. I think I made out with your sister for 10 minutes. And I don't know if I owe you an apology because I was sort of a two-way street, but it was probably inappropriate. But whatever, long time ago. Hope everything's good with you. Colin, yeah, I'd like to make that happen. John Stewart, I don't know if that's... That one I'm just going to have to live with. Amy, yeah, in college. It was a nice dinner you made, but I just had to go see that band. And I'm sorry I left early. It was rude. John, yeah, I'm sorry I broke all the stuff in my kitchen around you in a menacing way, but you were fucking my girlfriend. Okay. Oh, here's one. This is a great one on the list. It just says audiences. I should put some dates there. Audiences throughout the 80s and early 90s, I'm sorry. I am sorry. You're right. It was hard for all of us. Audiences. All right, so that clears that stuff up. Did I mention? No, I didn't. We're sponsored today by Audible Channels and the cult classic TV comedy Dr. Katz, Professional Therapist, is back. Did you know that? It's now for your ears. Hear the original cast as a free premium podcast called Dr. Katz, The Audio Files. Just go to audible.com/Dr. Katz. Join 15 of the biggest stars in comedy as they bare their souls on the couch for 15 minutes with Hollywood's favorite shrink, Jonathan Katz. Eavesdrop on celebrities like Sarah Silverman, Ted Danson, Ray Romano, Weird Al, Maria Bamford, Paul F. Tompkins, John Hamm, and the always entertaining and more. Some people have called WTF a form of therapy, but Dr. Katz is the true professional. This is the place where comedians finally get the help they need. The new episode with Weird Al is there now, folks. Listen to Dr. Katz, the audio files, available exclusively now at audible.com/Dr. Katz. That's audible.com/DRKATZ. Dig it. Oh, there was one other guy in the amends list that I didn't mention. How come I just went by that? Brian, junior high. Yeah, I'm sorry I got us both suspended. I should have done my homework and studied as opposed to cheat off of your paper. I have shame around that. It's shame. That was a lesson. And it was an incredible moral compromise on my part, and I'll never forget it. And I'm sorry. I hope everything worked out for you. I personally enjoyed the few days off. But that was bullshit. And, yeah, I feel bad. Okay. Randy Newman, one of my heroes. And, I've been trying to get him in here for a long time. And I was just so excited to talk to him. And he came. He's got a new record out called, Dark Matter, which is great. It's like a real Randy Newman record. From back in the day. That's going to be out on August 4th. And also, I guess he recently did some sort of Trump penis song. I did not, this was recorded a little while ago, a couple weeks maybe. And so that wasn't on the, radar yet, but we did talk about how he would handle the topic of Trump in one of his songs, because he is a great satirist and a very bright guy, sharp. I love talking to him. And this is the first time I've ever done this. Like he's got a representative, but because of the conversation we had, I wrote to her after it and I said, hey, I don't know how busy he is or if he gets sad or if he likes to hang out, but, I'm always, I'm available. I'm around if Randy wants to have lunch or something. I've never done that before. And she said she'd tell him. But yeah, I mean, what does that mean? I felt kind of stupid for doing it. I just like talking to him so much. I was like, I'd like to make this a regular thing Yeah, maybe monthly, bi-weekly, something. Just sit down with Randy over some food and just talk for an hour. Maybe that dream will come true. I don't know. But I do know that we did sit here and talk in the garage a while back, and I was thrilled. So this is me and the brilliant Randy Newman. I'll tell you something. I've been holding on to a story for years, and I don't know if it's true, and it's about me, and it's about you, and I'm going to ask you about it. Years ago, you're friends with Lorne Michaels.
Yes.
Yes. And years ago, I was on Conan O'Brien, and Lorne Michaels had a guy who worked for him named Jim Biederman. You remember Jim Biederman?
Very vaguely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess Lorne, I had come up in conversation between you and Lorne because I had appeared on Conan O'Brien doing comedy, and I guess Lorne was, not quite sold on me. And Jim Biederman relayed to me that you told Lorne I was a verbescent.
A sour person. Or a sour person?
Yeah, Vibissiner. Yeah.
It sounds like a word I might have used talking to Lorne.
Yeah, so I go good. So there might be credible. I'm not asking you to remember, but I just want to.
I don't remember, but yeah, that's possible.
Well, good. That makes me happy.
I don't know whether that's praise or criticism.
All I know is that
Farbissner.
Farbissner, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a word you got from your grandmother?
Yeah. There's only a few, but that's one of them. They're all pejoratives in some sense,
Pejorative Yiddish?
Yeah. Well, that's the language is pejorative in a way.
Yeah.
My father used to call me things, and only we got that Leo Roston book, Joys of Yiddish. You look him up, and he was calling me a little shithead, and
because they were trying to fool you at first.
Yeah.
It was their way of communicating.
No, it was a way of affection, possibly.
Yeah. But you didn't grow up that Jewish, right?
Not at all.
No? But they were there.
It was there.
The Jews were there.
Not a great, not like a great amount.
Yeah. I listened to the new record, the whole new record, and I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
And I'd like to think that because I've been listening to a lot of your records recently, because I knew I was going to talk to you, I had to refresh a lot of them. Well. And it seems to me that a couple of the ones on here are very reminiscent to a style that you've kind of carried through from the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, I guess one question I wanted to ask, do you prefer the past or the present?
Present.
Okay.
I never believe that things were better. Even the stuff about music.
Yeah.
That the 70s were better and Saturday Night Live was funnier and all that stuff. I don't know about that thing. I think it's hard to judge. I mean, you got to watch out for the old crock factor.
Which is what?
Which is things were better when I was a kid.
So you mean just nostalgia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not always a valid way of judging things.
No, I know. I'm up against it myself. I'm 53, and I wonder about that when I find myself saying stuff like that. But then I start to think other ways. I start to think like, well, if rock and roll as we know it started in 1955, when you're closer to the source and there were fewer people doing it and everyone kind of knew each other, maybe at least it was a little warmer, a little more connected.
I like it better,
now?
Early stuff. No.
Oh, yeah, right.
But I don't necessarily completely trust my affection for it. The fact that the music has lived since the 70s.
Yeah.
And that there are so many people on the road in the 70s.
Yeah.
From the 70s. Maybe is an indication that
it was solid.
It was good, yeah.
And also that it represents something to a certain bunch of people.
Yeah.
Who need something now. They don't.
And it's a big bulge in the population, too, the baby boomers.
Yeah, yeah, and they're seeing the light now.
Yeah.
So maybe they need to tap into what they were.
Maybe.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And also on this album, there's a kind of unique song about the Kennedy brothers.
Yeah.
And
I'll say it's unique. There's nothing like it. Yeah.
That maybe some of the compulsion to move on Cuba was about a lady.
Yeah, Celia Cruz.
Now, did you pick that? Did you glean that from a story?
No, I made it all up entirely. What I am interested in is the relationship of brothers. That's why I call it brothers.
Yeah.
The older brother kind of teasing the younger one for his excitement. Bobby Kennedy is going, we're going to go and we'll march to Havana. The people will march and the peasants will join them.
Yeah.
And John says, the peasants will join them. I like that.
That they have this dynamic.
Yeah, the older brother, they sing, and Jack says, sing harmony, Bobby. And Bobby says, I always sing harmony. Jack says, I know you do. I like that.
So you just it's sort of interesting to me that you have these they're almost poetic vignettes that kind of just float, to the music, and they don't, a lot of them don't have specific definition, but that makes them even broader and bigger and more mysterious and powerful.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. This one is different in that other voices intruded on things. The first song is a song about science versus religion, more or less.
Yeah.
And there are 2 or 3 voices in it, which I've never done before. I do write songs that are in character, where I'm not the narrator of the song.
A lot of songs.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
It's mostly my style, whether it was shyness or whatever it is that did it. I was more interested in sort of aberrant personality.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Was your very first song that you wrote and performed, on record, was that you? Gridiron.
More or less. Oh, that Gridiron Golden Boy? No. It was one of those things.
The bitter guy who's like, the jock gets the chick.
I wrote songs like, summer songs.
Yeah.
It would be, 16, 17. I don't know whether I got the idea. My father he was a doctor, but he wrote song lyrics.
Yeah.
And so he'd write a Christmas song when it was Christmas time.
Yeah.
It was like Holiday Inn, the Bing Crosby movie.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a summer song, was like actually the first one I wrote. They tell me it's summer. Fleetwood's did it.
Yeah.
But, so that would just give me an idea. So I wrote why I wrote a football song, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, to me, it was more of a kind of
an embarrassment.
Yeah, the plight of the sort of the nerdy sensitive guy. Yeah.
I don't know whether I was rooting for him or against him, though.
I think that that comes through too. That you ride this weird balance between sympathetic and critical.
Yeah.
That is offers a little bit of gray area.
It does.
So what were you saying about the first song on this album? Oh, the multi-voices. You had like a creationist, a scientist, and then
a scientist and a narrator, and at the end there's someone who sort of intrudes on the thing and says talks about about me a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
but that's something that's fascinated you for a long time. Hypocrisy. And, power, stupidity.
Both ends. Yes, it has. And insensitivity in general. People who don't know themselves very well, and people who are insensitive to the effect their words or actions may have on others.
Yeah, we're all living in that.
We are, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I listened to A Few Words in Defense of Our Country. That was, 2008? And I'm wondering if you're shifting in your point of view.
It's much more appropriate
today.
Now, and who would have ever believed there'd be a worse administration than the Bush administration?
Oh, yeah.
Because it didn't seem competent to me. But this one is
baffling.
Dwarfs it.
Yeah. And never a dull moment in the wrong way.
Well, there's that famous saying, it's a curse to live in interesting times.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah.
It's words, he'll listen to what the mayor says and just not understand that the mayor was saying, be calm,
right.
Everything's under control.
Right.
He says, telling the people to be
Don't
calm.
Be alarmed.
He said we should be alarmed.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you going to do? Well, you've lived through some, many interesting times, right?
Not like this one.
No, of course. I don't think any of us have.
No.
But there's certainly, if you don't mind going back through it, but even on Good Old Boys, which I think was the first album I had of yours, that, there was still this tension in the country. There was racism, there was misguided people, there was, all this stuff was still there and still, kind of hot then in the 70s. And you were able to address that with some empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, could you address this with empathy?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, I could.
I mean, you did.
I had an idea.
Yeah.
That you could write a song coming for a woman, for Ivanka Trump.
Yeah.
Saying, "Dear Daddy, I'm writing you this letter. because there's things I could never say to you. And then doing all the requisite Oriental almost praising of him that you have to do.
Right.
I know how wonderful and brilliant and blah, blah, blah you are. And how everyone loves you, all the people that I just was wondering. And she'll say it, she could say it in some kind of way where, do you know what real is? Do you really know what's going on here?
Right.
Yeah. You could do it like that, like someone like Lord, or could do a song, very effective one like that, I think.
Oh, are you going to write it for Lord?
I don't know. Well, now anyone can write. but I didn't. I restrained myself. I didn't want to have an idea.
I like her. I'm sort of fascinated with her.
To have written that song about social, about class, shocking, it's great. And no one did it. It's like there's subjects that people just have, giant ones that they haven't covered, I don't think, like Janis Ian wrote that song, 17, about not being worried about how you look.
Right.
Which is endemic, when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any songs about it but that one. I mean, no, there's more, but not much. The medium is mostly love songs. It has been always. And there's a good reason for it. That's what people like.
You mean pop songs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, any kind, yeah.
Well, I mean, folk
classical songs too. Folk songs slightly different,
right? Because they have the populist drive.
Yeah,
back in the day, anyways, right?
They did.
Yeah, the
Wobblies.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still some people carrying that torch.
There are, yeah.
I don't know what the effect of it is. Yeah, I'm glad it's there, and I'm glad that the passion is still there and that the form still exists. But do you ever come up against that yourself when you're writing songs? Do you think like, well, who's this for?
Well, I've thought, what the hell, when some of my songs are kind of weird, and I thought, what the hell is like, who the hell's, who could possibly like this?
Well,
I do it.
But your weirdest songs are like "Let's Burn Down the Cornfield." I listened to that 3 times.
It's a little weird, but that's sort of about sex, though, a little bit,
Oh, is it? Okay.
Well, but yeah, it's weird.
I thought it was more of an existentially terrifying thing, like
it's about boredom.
Yeah, boredom.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what it's about. Really.
And I think that those shorter.
It's a good subject, that one.
Yeah, it is, because that's where it all happens.
Yeah.
In the boredom is where all the darkness comes.
That's right.
But like Guilty is like that song, the 4 stanzas of that, like they make me cry every time I listen to it. Because I personally can relate to it, which I don't know.
Me too.
You can.
Oh, well, yeah. They're being in the wrong place, hi.
But that line, it's like, it's going to it takes a whole lot of medicine for me to believe that I'm somebody else.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Did you clap when you came up with that?
No, but I did because it was exactly right. About taking drugs, it's, you can look at the bottle and you don't know what's going to be ahead of you, but if you look at the bottle in 45 minutes, you say, well, I know how I'm going to feel. Yeah. You think. It doesn't work out.
Right.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's always bad, but you think it's going to be better.
That's right.
There's that moment where this will fix it.
Yeah. I don't know why I think was that broken, but yeah, when I wrote it, I thought, well, that's right.
Were you going through it?
Really. That's various times, but I do know it.
Yeah. Well, you certainly, that's one thing the 70s provided everybody, was to be surrounded by that,
it did.
In individuals, like, just people dropping from dope or booze or whatever the hell it was.
Falling out.
Yeah.
And you'd run into people that really were sort of crazy.
Sure.
Much more frequently, and sometimes you didn't know they were crazy till 2 hours. You talked to them.
After they laid down some pretty good tracks.
Yeah.
You're like, man, that sounded great.
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
That's right. And you were worrying. Meanwhile, all the time you're worried about yourself.
Right. Well, I think
this
most
guy
people are.
Nuts, Yeah. The whole world is a drum. Is it?
Let me ask you this, because in listening to stuff, all the way through, again, where does, because I'll tell you, and I'm embarrassed to say it, that, and I was poking around just listening to music, which is what I do when I talk to musicians, I don't think I ever listened to Van Dyke Parks' song cycle.
Yeah.
Until today.
Yeah.
And I always knew of him because of the Beach Boys connection.
Yeah, sure.
But then, listening to that, I was able to sort of identify, because I listened to Joanna Newsom, recently. I had her on the show.
It's very good.
Yeah, but the orchestration that seemed to be the area you guys were working in, where the hell does that come from?
It's like a branch of Homo sapien that didn't become Homo sapien. Homo robust. I think we thought then that maybe pop music could go in that direction too. Like using a drum was almost cheating to move things along. It comes from
but does it come
European music, classical music to some extent.
But what about Copland?
Sure. The various composers, Gershwin.
Right, because it's an American
that's where
sound.
I come from, yeah.
Right.
Gershwin, Copland, and Joanna Newsom comes from too.
Right. But it's rare to hear. It's still rare to hear it. And when you hear it, it's uniquely yours.
It is in that kind of context. Yes, it is.
In pop music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it might have come, from listening to Copland or Gershwin, but not consciously.
Yeah.
But movies too. Three of my uncles were motion picture composers, and I thought, well, that's what I'd do with music when I grew up. I mean, it didn't look easy, but
Did
it
you
looked
go to
like yeah.
You went to the studio with them?
I went sometimes, yeah.
When they had orchestras sitting in there, and they were conducting.
And that's a big. I have in my ear the sound of a really great orchestra, the Fox Studio Orchestra. Fortunately for me, I've got it.
Yeah.
And it made an impression on me. I love the sound of an orchestra. I like it almost too well for pop music. I think I've torn songs up a bit just to be able to arrange it the way I thought was right so I could put it in a place. Particularly on the first record I made.
Well, that's a big orchestra.
It's fairly big, yeah. It's the same, this one's about as big.
On the new one?
Record, yeah. There's some similarities between the first record and this one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the first record is not only is an orchestra, but you don't separate it much. I mean, they're all there in a lot of the songs.
That's right. They're there, and 4 or 5 of them, yeah.
Yeah, and I, listening to that and the sort of drop off from that to 12 songs.
Complete.
Right, you just stripped it all down.
Because it didn't sell. And it's all been feeble attempts to try and do something that a lot of people liked.
Yeah.
The first one, I don't know what it sold, 6,000 or something, if that.
Really?
That's last week. That's the latest. I don't know.
You're still getting those quarterlies?
But it was tiny.
Yeah.
And the second one, so I got rid of everything. Yeah. I think I'll try this, do pop music. And that's what I did. And even though it was an evil mind process, to make a decision that way, I wrote all right.
Yeah.
I never let that be affected.
Yeah.
By any kind of considerations, but whether I liked it.
But the thing is even venturing into pop music, in the past, before it seems like you made the first album, you'd had, plenty of experience with arranging. You had written songs, yeah. That were used.
Not much with arranging. I mean, that was really something the first time I was in there with the orchestra.
Yeah.
And, an orchestra's got some weight to it.
Yeah.
You go like this, bum, and you're trying to go this fast, and they'll slow it down a little, and you feel it, and you don't know, oh, come on. And what you do is, eventually, I found out, you shorten up a little. But you can feel that whomp, whomp. And it was, so I ended up doing a song, Davy the Fat Boy, that goes, I've been his friend. And they were slowing up, so it was like, It was like I built a mountain I couldn't climb. I did the track and then I had to sing and I couldn't really.
But also, it seems that throughout the non-orchestral stuff in those few albums and all the way through, you have a propensity to swing a bit.
Yeah,
that I would imagine.
I sure do.
Yeah, and there's a trick to get an orchestra to swing. It seems like that's what you're saying. Is how do you get that?
They can do it.
Yeah.
Now, particularly in this town.
Sure.
it's hard. Was hard getting strings to shuffle. But
you can do it now.
They do it. Yeah. Some places,
they've adapted.
Some places, it's it's tough in Linz, Austria, but they can do it here.
Yeah.
And I really do. Another thing that I love too much is shuffles.
Yeah.
Drummers hate them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand,
it makes it complicated.
Right, because they can't all do it.
Did you see that? It was absolutely shitty. Excuse me.
It's all right, you can say shitty.
But in the movie about the drummers, what was the name of that thing?
Whiplash?
Whiplash.
Yeah.
They had a scene where they had a guy who was supposed to be bad drummer.
Yeah.
And he was doing, do a fast shuffle.
Yeah.
So it was, it was very lame attempt at being bad. I mean, nobody, a 4-year-old wouldn't have been that bad.
Right.
But they are a drag. And a fast shuffle, I mean,
yeah.
I don't even like to think about it.
Right. But the slow one, that moves you.
It really does.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love it.
I don't know why. I spent a few
track
years
it?
in New Orleans when
When?
I was like a baby, and then I go back into summers till I was 9.
What got you there from here?
My mother.
She was from there?
Yeah.
So that must have been something.
I guess it was. I mean, I remember it, it was hot, and the river always meant a lot to me.
But you don't remember music?
Well, it's everywhere there.
I
don't specifically remember walking around in the quarter and saying, whoa, listen to that.
At 4 or 5?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of musicians I've talked to have like a better relationship with music than I have.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not something that I ever loved exactly.
But really, though, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, really, that's really a good question because compared to them, no. But I mean, it was always work to me. I felt, because of my family, I felt the kind of weight on it. And
just in the sense that you had working musicians in your family, and you decided that was your profession.
And they were pretty grim about it. I mean, even my Uncle Alfred, who was as good as any film composer has ever been, I think. Even he, I'd go in and see him. I was like 10.
Yeah.
What would he have been doing? I can't remember, the Robe or something.
Yeah.
And he'd say, hey, what do you think of this? He'd play me something. And that's good. And he said things like, he was like talking himself into it. He'd say, he said, if things sound good on the piano, if they play on the piano, they'll sound good in the orchestra.
Right.
And I said, yeah. But, what am I going to say? I'm 10.
Yeah.
But
you took it to heart.
I took it to heart and I remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the difference is like whether you think you like music as much as other musicians or know about it as much as other musicians. It seems to me that, your musical style and more importantly, your vocal and poetic phrasing is unique to you and as both of them are, but you like to write songs. I'm yelling at you, hoping that you'll agree with me. Randy,
I'd like to believe that, but I never have written unless I had to.
What, you mean to get a record done, or?
Well, a couple times, where you have to make a record. I ran out of money.
Yeah.
Or writing songs on assignment for something, or a movie, doing the score for a movie, and there's a deadline on it.
Right.
I don't just go in there and like this idea I had about the girl song, Ivanka.
Yeah.
A song for Lord. I mean, I had that idea and I said, that's great. But I sort of restrained myself till it passed a little bit and I didn't go in there and work on it. I didn't want to.
But might you? Like when you're bored?
Yeah. No, no, just that talking to you, making me conscious of it, I might do it just because it's a pretty good idea.
Right.
Now that when I just laid it out there, I can see where it could go. Easy.
But you never
could see where it would
sure.
go. Yeah.
But you were never like, I know you're being self-effacing a bit.
No, I'm not. Not about that. I'm not. I think it's an indictment.
Yeah. What?
I'm a Farbissner. I am.
I know.
But
you're also a very prolific guy that never seems to fucking stop working.
Thank you. Glad to hear that. I think I haven't.
You haven't done enough?
I don't want to really get into this. But I don't think I've done enough, but Okay. The new records, I'm satisfied it's good. You know, I mean, to be doing good work in pop music at my age is not usual.
No, I think it's great, and I think it's a return to form in a way.
It sounds like the same guy as all the other ones do.
Well, look, you are the same guy, but okay, so let's go back to this shift. You know, the shift from the orchestra to 12 song.
Yeah.
Now, this was you saying, like, I'm going to make pop music, and then you pull in Ry Cooder, and you pull in those dudes from the Byrds, and you kind of doing a thing where, like, there was, you seem to be part of the movement of creating a new American music, you know, along with the band and, you know, whoever else was doing it at that time.
Well, thank you.
Grateful Dead, maybe. I don't know who was around. They didn't get to it till a little later. But, you know, working with Ry, and you know, no matter how much you think you don't know or like music, I mean, you were bringing together something that was unique.
Yeah, to do that stuff. They're certainly part of American music, and I am too as a writer.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to say. I've never thought about it, but that's true. I'm part of it in some kind of way. You know, I've influenced a lot of songwriters, I think, in some way. But not to be so foolish as to write songs in character the way I do.
Right.
It's not like, come on, boys, and everybody followed me out of the trench.
Right, yeah.
People don't do it.
What, write in character?
Neil Young does it occasionally.
Right.
But nobody does it much.
Well, I was sort of blown away because I had Nick Lowe in here.
Yeah.
And
Peace, Love, and Understanding.
Right,
there
good song,
go.
right? But he wrote that the Beast in Me too, for Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
you know, and it was the first lesson I learned about songwriters, where like I had really gotten in my head that Nick Lowe was the guy in the Beast in Me.
No.
We're not. No, I know. Right. So I guess my point is, I think a lot of you guys write in character. It's just a step away.
Oh, it's different than they are, but it's not. It's usually well, not necessarily with Nick Lowe, but it's usually a romantic hero. Now, Petty may not be a romantic hero. He may not think of himself as a romantic hero. Yeah. But he does when he writes songs. I mean, that's what he's writing.
Right. All from that angle, though. You're saying he, as a songwriter, is writing from a point of view.
Let me think. Not all, no.
No.
But a lot of it.
It's also in a very American sense of longing.
He came and did, when I got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he and Jackson Browne and Jeff Lynne came down and we did I Love L.A. for everybody. And when he first started singing it, he didn't sound solid or good. But then he figured out how Tom Petty would sound singing I Love L.A., and he did it great. Yeah. It's sometimes it's conscious, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, say, you got to find where Tom Petty is in the national anthem. You know?
And the only way you can know that is by knowing who that guy is
and
from
by trying
years.
He's got to do it.
Yeah. But you know, those guys who have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that.
They know. He knows who he is. Yeah.
Sure. Right. Yeah. But like also that shift from orchestra to that first album, that freed up your voice too. It seemed like on the first record.
Yeah. That's very wise of you to say that. I mean, I kept wondering about that. I mean, it does sound stiffer. And then I thought, after that, I said, do I have to always do this?
Yeah, well,
do I have to always beat?
Right.
Along.
Yeah.
And then the next one was Sail Away, which is half and half. Like.
Oh man, that record.
Yeah.
You must. You're not one of these guys that's sort of like, it's behind me.
No, that's pretty good.
That's a fucking great record.
It had that record and Bad Love, I think, have the best songs I wrote.
Well, Bad Love, man. Like I listened to that stuff was that stuff seemed really close to the bone, man.
It's good. Let me think. Like, well, there's Great Nations of Europe on it.
Yeah.
The thing about Karl Marx, and Karl Marx was a boy.
And I Miss You.
That's a good. I Miss You. Yeah. I wrote a love song for my first wife while I'm married to my second.
Right. That always goes over well. As a comic, I know that once you start talking about the ladies,
it doesn't go well.
It doesn't go well.
There's towns you can't play it.
Right, where you have to say, like, look, let's just keep this between us. No one record this. No one tweet that I did this song here.
It's like at a certain point in your life, you think that somehow telling a girl about other women the experience you've had will matter. They'll think you're a better fuck or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
No,
it's
always like,
idea.
Do you want her more than me? There's no way.
There's something that they're just too smart for it all.
Well, it's good that you learned that lesson again in 2000 and fucking, or 1999.
Oh no, I didn't learn it. Really, that song for me was about writing.
Right.
It was about sort of.
Oh, so this is
so
what
complicated.
This is what you told her.
That's what I told them both. It scared the first one as bad as it did the second one.
Yeah.
Worse. But no, what I told them, it's about. Oh, so weird. Pretending to be or being ruthless about writing. I'll take a song anywhere I can get it. And I do think that.
Well, no, at some point you got to defend it. Like, I actually had to tell, the only way I learned not to do jokes about, specifically the relationship I'm in was by going publicly through a divorce on stage, working the whole thing out on stage. And
Yeah. I saw you doing that.
You did?
Yeah.
On TV?
Yeah. No, at a comedy club too, and on TV.
And it was not comfortable material.
I wondered. It was funny.
Right. It was funny because it was so fucking painful. But to the women, it just gets, I've actually said to women, I said, look, if it's going to come down to you or the joke, it might be the joke. The joke might win.
Feels good to say that kind of a romantic, bold, writerly thing. That's what I did with this song.
Right.
It's about faking to do that,
Yeah, but trying to get away with it.
You wouldn't write a song. Well, I have written about my kids.
You have, right?
I have, and sometimes not, not directly.
Right.
But yes, I have.
But you've written about the father and son relationship for a long time.
I have.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Even on the new album.
To me, it's sort of amazing that other writers don't branch out some, because there's so many subjects,
Well, I think it is about emotional risk on some level and being misunderstood or being understood. Both of those things could go wrong.
But the way you feel about a joke, that it's worth almost anything, relationships and stuff, is the way I feel about a song. I mean, it's always how I have judged myself, more or less.
Yeah, that you have the emotional integrity to do it.
Yeah, but you don't want to wear that like a badge.
No.
Look,
you want to get away with it.
I'll do anything. Yeah.
You want to get away with it,
I just want to do it.
Yeah,
and then I don't care so much what happened.
Well, here's the concession I made was with this a recent joke that was about the relationship I'm in now.
Yeah.
Hurt her feelings. And I said, well, I'll just move it back a relationship. So, this girl I used to go out with. Yeah. Not the thing I'm in now.
It's just a change of tense. You don't have to change the thing.
Yeah, it's still the same thing.
Yeah. And then you wonder, is it as funny?
Right, of course. Of course, if I'm not dealing with it in the present, is it as menacing as it is, if I push it back a relationship?
Because it's so important. I don't know. I've never been able to disabuse myself of the idea that what I was doing was very important to me. Yeah. Not to the world. I mean,
right.
I never thought that music is going to change the world like in the 70s and stuff. I always thought that what Madonna wore had more to do with life in America than anything any great writer was writing. Right. Than Neil Young was doing at the time, or whoever was writing well then.
Right. Well, I guess it is sort of a lofty pretense that is crashing down on us now that, all this introspection and expression would fundamentally change the way the world works.
I never believed that.
You never did?
No, never. Maybe too much so. I mean, I would have liked
cynical.
To believe. Yeah, I was. I mean, the hippies and all that is so benign and such a good idea. Peace, love, and understanding. That's a great, nasty song, but a great one.
Yeah.
Not but a great one, and a great one.
Yeah.
No, I never believed that it was working, that things would get better and that music would transform anything.
But you just believe that, well, clearly it was bringing people together and, everybody, seemed to have their heart in the right place, but it didn't facilitate action necessarily.
No, I don't think so. I mean, sadly.
Well, I think that the wave of that is crashing now to a degree. Like, because I've done a couple bits on stage where I go, why did we lose? And then I say, what have you been doing for the last 8 years? Oh, just working on me.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the legacy.
It is. But what I've been thinking about this thing is, in a way, it's the legacy we ended up with, right? But the people who voted for him, they're not as bad as he is.
That's right.
I mean, would they have him to their house and a guy like that, or be friends with him, or on a bowling team, or on, I don't mean that in a pejorative way, a bridge, to play bridge, or whatever the fuck, you'd want him to do. They're not as bad. Racism, you gotta look it up, that's bad.
Well, I think the narrator of, right. Well,
racism, Newman says racism is bad.
Yeah. But the narrative, the narrator of your song Rednecks, that is not changed. No,
it hasn't changed. The only thing is that everyone knows that the North is almost as culpable as the South in the treatment of the races.
Well, a lot of people don't want to believe it, and I think a song like that, when you put in, the last, 30 seconds of that song is pretty haunting and pretty,
it is.
Real kind of.
So it's the only part that the guy wouldn't know. You know what I mean? The character
right.
I did it anyway.
Well, you had to, because that was the point. That was the balance.
That's right.
It was the hypocrisy of the thing.
I had to, yeah.
Well, it's interesting about, like, in terms of how you approach politics in the songs, like what political science or but more, like, there's something beautiful. The one song I've listened to like 3 or 4 times in the last few days is Mr. President.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, there's that swing thing again. Mm-hmm. But it's just, we get it. Like the narrator's like, we understand who you are, but can't you just throw us a bone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't you just see us? Yeah, and this monster that's there now.
Exactly. It's deeper than my song, but that's right. Yeah.
But this monster saw that and now is using it, to a bad end. But the sort of vulnerable plea of the working man, have pity on the working man.
Yeah.
You can have your place, but we're out here, we're dying out here.
Absolutely. And he says, I love steelworkers. And you know what that means? It's just like he saw Clark Gable in Pittsburgh, that movie. I love Steel. And they applauded him and they were happy to see him. Oh. I think he sort of knows he's not good at anything. Oh, remember Nixon?
Yeah.
Yes, but he's great at foreign affairs.
Sure.
Horse shit.
Yeah, right.
And this guy, he's a great negotiator, great businessman. I don't know. I doubt it.
No, and the narcissism will never enable him to see.
No.
The tremendous risk of the true narcissist is the break in the narcissistic bubble. So, like, cause at the core of it is just a very tiny thing. A very sad, abandoned
really
baby.
Is. And is narcissism an actual,
pathology?
Psychosis? Yeah.
I think they downgraded it in the DSM, because I told my father that he should be happy about that. But
did you really?
I did, yeah. Guess what? You're not sick. So
did he laugh?
Yeah, he did. He did. Well, he's a fortunate hybrid. He's a total narcissist, but he's also a depressive, which looks like self-awareness.
Yeah. Depressive about himself or about the times?
Yeah, both. Himself. But the vulnerability of being depressed is kind of a trick of if a narcissist is a depressive, it almost looks like they're capable of empathy and things when they're depressed. But
does he think he didn't live up to his potential?
I don't know. I think he thinks that
that thing they always beat you over the head with.
I don't know what the hell he just not unlike our president. He was a bit of a sucker, and he was a bit he liked hanging around tough guys, and he was a doctor, my father, and and he got
my father too. He liked it,
and that's what happens.
Was he a tough guy, your dad?
No,
my dad got in fights.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
No, my dad was not a tough guy. He thought he was, but he was a lot of wind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your dad was a scrapper.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of, I said to smack, I was going to smack this guy. There was a lot of that, but there was a lot of times when he did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he had a terrible temper. One time, my brother and I, remember, we were in a parking lot at a restaurant. We were kids. And kid gives him the key, and he says, "Thanks, Sonny." And the kid says, "I'm not your son," and whammo.
Yeah.
The kid didn't say it that rough.
Yeah, yeah.
But my father took it badly.
Yeah. That was it?
Nuts.
He opened up on him?
It.
He clocked him? And was that the first time?
I just, was just rattling around, and he fought like Bob Steele.
Which is what?
He was a cowboy.
Yeah.
In his cowboy movies.
Oh, just got right in there?
Like
get as much done as possible.
Miniature golf course, the boxing thing.
Yeah. Get as much done before you go down as you can. Yeah.
That's what I remember.
How many you just got one brother?
One brother, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
He's the doctor.
Younger or older?
Younger.
Oh, yeah?
Yours?
Mine's younger.
Were you nice to him?
I don't know. We're painfully similar. I mean, as time goes on, no matter what we go through, we come back to the.
You notice.
What I've noticed about friends too in general is that there are guys that you see after not seeing them for 20 years, and you know that guy.
Yeah.
And then there are guys you see after you haven't seen them in 20 years, and you're like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Brothers, hopefully you always know them.
Yeah. And mannerisms and
everything. He's a lot like me.
The look of their back, something I haven't seen my back in 40 years.
Right.
But I mean, his back looks like mine.
Sure, and the way they move.
Yeah.
Like, it's very familiar.
Very familiar. And there's no one else.
Yeah, it's in your genetics. We're tight like that. But, I think there's the tension of, success, failure, whatever. The things happen. And, shame, all of that plays into the dynamics, but, he's blood.
Can happen, yeah.
But like this, like you were talking about your kids, like, I feel like I remember very specifically enjoying you on the original David Letterman show, because he would have you on a lot.
Yeah.
And there was God, I don't remember what year it was, but you always had very great timing. And David asked you about your son at that time. It must have been in the 80s.
Oh, when he was in the punk...
Well, you said, that one's doing fine, but the other one has sort of gone bad.
Yeah. It never bad. I mean, they're all very good.
How many you got?
I got 5.
5 kids.
4 boys and then a girl.
Uh-huh.
Which... a friend of mine had the same kind of thing happen, and he said, if the girl had been born first, would have thought the boys were retarded, because there's no doubt that they're superior. Do you have any kids?
No, I avoided that somehow.
Yeah,
I think it was smart. I don't know. I think people find a lot of joy in it, but I think the fact that it was never at the at the front of my brain to do, and I've been married twice, must mean something.
Yeah.
That it was protecting me against. I'm a anxious, worrying, selfish person.
It is that serious a choice. It should be to people. I mean, either if you do it, you should do it.
Wanting to do it.
Yeah.
Did you make that decision in that way then, in the first one?
I just didn't think it would be otherwise. I mean, everything I knew was family.
Right.
And so I always thought I'd be part of one and have my own. And both my wives I thought about what kind of mother they'd be, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
And they both were great. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that my relationship with family was more like, is there any reason to continue this?
Yeah. But I never quite felt that way. It was always, I mean, I had problems with my father, my mother to some extent, but.
What'd your mother do?
She was from Louisiana, and she was sort of a Southern belle, I guess, and my dad met her down there and married her, and she, sort of got overwhelmed down here by the speed of things.
Yeah.
The South, those towns on the Gulf are slow.
Yeah.
Galveston and New Orleans and Mobile. And so she would be getting to the pronoun of a sentence.
Yeah.
And they were done, So there was some degree of, she never became a fully sort of expressed person that I know. She was very proud of me. Like when I pitched in baseball, Little League, she would keep a box score, and it was a big thing to her. And then when anything was about me in the paper, she'd cut it out.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very gracious about any of that kind of stuff. I mean, I almost wished she weren't at the ball games, and I just wasn't as nice as I should have been.
So they didn't stay together?
They did.
Oh, they did?
Well, they didn't stay together. They didn't watch this. They watched the same show in different rooms.
Right.
But they stayed together.
Oh, yeah. Most of it here in L.A.
Yeah.
So
all of it.
Yeah. So now through the course of the career, you did a lot of songs and a lot of songs that people covered. I mean, Jesus, like I think everyone has recorded. I think it's going to rain today.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
And they continue to do it.
Yeah.
Would that be called an American standard at this point?
God, maybe. I mean, it's really a decline in standards from All Alone by the Telephone. Well, I guess there are standards out of the 70s. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
But back then, were you, what was your relationship with the record companies? Do you have your publishing? Does it still benefit you every time that happens?
I have it past a certain point, like past some date. And up to that date, I think it's going to rain. I don't think I have any of. The early first record I didn't. I was with a publisher, I think.
Oh, really?
And then I did.
Yeah.
I would advise anyone now, kids, to keep their publishing.
Sure. Well, I mean, the record companies are barely holding on, I think, in some ways.
They really are. But they try and get that, and they get performance money now, record companies. They want.
Well, that's the market. Performance and merch.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, that's right.
It's all merch.
So this record's coming out, and I'd like to be excited, like, oh, I wonder what it'll do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't guess it'll do anything, it's just, if my price goes up by, $2,000 on the road, that's the accomplishment now.
So, but what about your relationship with Lenny?
Lenny I knew since I was 1 year old.
Waronker, is that how you say his last name?
Waronker.
Because he seemed to, the relationship that you had with him seemed to, really carry you through the first, decade or so, huh?
Whole time.
Yeah.
He was the first person I'd play things for since I was 15. And, when he was with the record company, I never experienced bad record company stuff because I was protected from it by him.
And he in music as a kid, or how did he get into it? Because he's still at it, right?
Yeah, he's still at Warner's in A&R. He got into it. His father was a violinist in the Fox Orchestra.
Uh-huh.
And then he started.
So you met him through your uncle?
I was only one or two, but
right.
He was friends with my uncle, friends with the family. And he was interested in music as a kid, jazz and stuff. I remember Lenny Niehaus, and he had all that stuff. And his father started a record company, which became Liberty Records. And when I started writing songs, I went to a couple of publishers, and they signed me at that company.
Yeah.
And then
at Liberty,
people heard at Liberty Records, publisher.
Yeah.
And then people heard me singing on the demo, and Lenny was at Warner Brothers by then, and A&M and Warner's offered something, and I went with Warner, with Lenny.
But he used to, he managed bands, or he just produced bands?
He produced them.
Yeah.
He produced, the Doobie Brothers, Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, yeah. They were pretty big.
Ricky Lee.
Oh, yeah, that was big. But early on, big. Was he
big. He had hits, that, while he was doing me, that wasn't his main thing, exactly.
Right. But early on, were you in a band?
No.
Never was in a band?
No, I never was. I wish I were, could have played well enough to play with an orchestra, I do it.
Yeah.
Because I wrote it.
Yeah.
But I almost wish I were in a band, because I have trouble playing in time when I do have to play with, even at that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, we're doing I Love L.A.
Yeah.
And when I do it by myself, which is the way I perform usually, you drop an eighth note here and there.
Yeah.
You're in 7/8.
Yeah.
4/4, 3/4. But with them, they were looking at me, come on.
Yeah.
And it was strange. I said, am I going to get thrown out of the Hall of Fame? Because I can't play with a goddamn band my own song? But they once asked, Jimmy Keltner, the drummer.
Yeah.
He says, how do you follow, Randy? What do you do? He says, I watch his hands. So it's not exactly, I got my own time, but it's not standard.
That's a good drummer.
He's a great drummer, yeah.
So, like, I just remembered that, I was going to tell you, I saw you, when I was in high school. Cause, I got turned on to you I got Good Old Boys because my buddy in 7th grade's hippie dad had it.
Yeah.
And we used to listen to it. But then I went and saw you because I was a huge fan of, Sail Away and Good Old Boys. And I must have been, must have been like 77 or something. Wow. The Albuquerque Civic Auditorium on the Little Criminals tour.
I've only played there once and
that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
And I remember because, there was a strange protest of little people and a few of them, but I remember I hung out because it was just you up there and, and you came out and said hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
But I saw you then and I was like so thrilled that you were a decent fella.
Oh, thank you very much. And did I fall out with you when I had the Farbissner?
No. I was so happy that you noticed me because I've been such a fucking fan.
That's a recommendation for Lauren.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought because like I didn't know what I was and I said, well, I guess Randy knows. I'm a Farbissner.
I can't remember that you were. I don't remember you being particularly...
I was cranky.
Cranky. That's all that means.
I know. Yeah. Well, I was definitely that.
Yeah.
So, and also, when I found your song on the soundtrack of the performance...
Yeah.
With Long Black?
I didn't write that.
Long Gone Train?
Gone Dead Train.
Gone Dead Train.
I just sung it, yeah.
You just sung it?
Yeah, Jack Nitzsche and Russ Titleman wrote
But you played it.
Yeah, I played it.
Yeah, and Rye was in there too, right?
Rye was in there too. We were the Rolling Stones too on, not Memo from Turner. Did we do that?
Yeah, Memo from
I can't remember.
Sounds right. Yeah. It sounds
we were
right.
on one of them, yeah.
Yeah, that Memo from Turner, because that's all slide, and that must be you playing piano.
Yeah, I think we got it back, yeah.
When I found that record, I'm like, I know something about Randy Newman there, and everybody knows this.
Yeah.
He's on this record.
That's true.
And you played with the Stones?
That's like a highly thought of movie now. No, not with the Stones. They weren't there. They just did a rough track of it, and I think we did that one again too.
Yeah, but had that groove again. I don't know whether
I played on it or not. Yeah.
Had that groove again. Now,
they had that.
Yeah.
That was theirs, yeah.
Yeah. Are you still friends with Rye?
Yes. I haven't seen him in a little bit, but still friends, definitely.
Now, at that time in the 70s, when you were hanging out with those guys and the guys from the Birds and, whoever else was around, Van Dyke, the Eagles, they were...
Henley and Fry.
Very early on, they sang on one of the records, right?
Few of them.
Yeah. Was Beefheart in the orbit?
No.
No.
He was out in the desert. Hardly anyone knew him. I don't know whether Cooter knew him well.
Yeah, he was just in that first incarnation of the band?
Yeah, and he'd make, his records and there was no...
They just came in from the desert?
Yeah. As far as I knew. Now, that may be a misrepresentation of things. But there would be people who know him who would say, Don, I talked to Don. They never said, I talked to Don the other day.
Right.
But they call it, Don's got a new record. I said, Don. It was like,
so he was not like you. Did you like what he was doing?
Yeah. Well, not always, but sometimes.
Yeah. He's a trip, right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't...
I was very glad he was doing it.
Yeah. But that wasn't your world. There were other worlds.
Not really. I mean, there were other worlds, and this was just recording world. I mean, socially... I didn't see... who did I see often? Sal Valentino, who sung with the Beau Brummels.
Yeah.
I'd see him.
Didn't they do some of your songs?
Yeah. They did a couple, and he was a good guy.
Yeah. All right, so moving into, obviously we can't cover everything, but the two songs, I Want to Believe That It's Money That Matters and It's Money That I Love, represented some sort of... existential battle and realization on your part.
Yeah, they're about how important money is. I mean, someone said, I don't like in that song how you criticized people who work for public radio and have backpacks. I said, I'm not criticizing them. Far from it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it, for stepping out of the race.
Yeah.
It's just that since I write on a lot of subjects, money is really important in the world. And would that it were not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I try not to make it important to me when I write. It isn't.
Right.
But whether the rest of my life is clean, I don't know. I mean,
you need it.
I went and played for a company thing.
Yeah.
Recently,
Is that something
And
you do
usually
often?
you just get in and get out. No.
Yeah.
But I did it, and I think of Neil Young, who hates any corporate thing at all. But there I was. So I'm playing, and they were just shitty.
Yeah.
So I just had to put my head down and think of money.
Yeah.
And every time I've done something just for money, I got screwed.
Yeah.
Like a festival in Baton Rouge with the rain, and they didn't pay, and
Yeah. So,
it just is like, you get punished for that evil.
for just doing it for
Yeah.
fun. You've mentioned Neil like 3 or 4 times. Do you love Neil?
Yeah.
He's something, right?
He's something, and he stayed good.
Yeah.
You know. Which is not, there's ups and downs like for everybody, but,
right.
but, it isn't like he did his best work at 27 necessarily.
Well, what's interesting about you and him is the bulk of your work is not beholden to time. That it's a unique thing. Maybe some production elements, come and go.
Yeah, just in the 80s, the
right.
one record, yeah.
Yeah, but you listen to a Neil Young song from 40 years ago, and you don't go like, that's so 60s. From your first album on, there's nothing that's tied into some, kind of dated motifs, that are pop music.
No.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. That's some timeless shit.
I didn't do a mambo record in the 50s. But yeah.
I think you've incorporated some mambo elements towards the end of the song.
I definitely do.
On the new record, I think.
Yeah, there it is. The
right?
Celia Cruz thing.
Yeah.
She was the queen of the mambo.
Yeah. So when did the soundtrack start? When did you realize that you were going to follow in the path of your family, to your uncles, to do soundtracks?
In the early 70s, I did the first one, did a movie called, what the hell's the name of that thing? Hold it. Oh my God, it's the one about the town quitting smoking. I can't believe
the Dick Van Dyke movie?
Yeah.
Cold Turkey,
yeah. Did that.
That was Norman Lear?
Yeah, director.
The challenge with Cold Turkey, it was songs.
No, it was a score, and there was one song in it. The challenge was writing for orchestra,
right?
Which really scared me.
Yeah.
I had an orchestrator who's great, famous orchestrator. He was Jerry Goldsmith's orchestrator, too, Arthur Morton, and I was loath to suggest I'd write something and I'd sort of let him orchestrate it. And he said, well, give me some ideas, orchestration later. And toward the end of the picture, I did some stuff. And after it, I did it mostly. But I mean, because of my family or something and writing for orchestra, it just scared the shit out of me.
Well, it's a big job in a way, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people looking at you waiting.
It's a lot of people looking but like my uncle what he said was true, that if it sounds okay on the piano, it'll be okay in the band.
But it seems to me that the natural and ragtime, played to your strengths.
Yes, they did. I don't know why. Well, they don't make movies like that anymore. I've had about 8 animated ones in a row.
Yeah. It got you a lot of recognition.
Cars 3. It did in places that I would never have had it.
Right.
When I have assignments.
Yeah.
Where you can't say shit, piss, fart, fucking damn.
Yeah.
I'll write, you got a friend in me. I'd sound like a used car salesman if I wrote that.
Right.
As me. But I'd like to bust myself out of that box I've got myself in and just write a straight, when somebody loved me, from the second picture.
Yeah.
And
from Cars,
those are like the straightest things I write.
Right.
I'm getting further and further away from any mainstream in the stuff I'm doing.
Right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's sort of like, I wonder if that's bittersweet to you that, all the Grammys and the Oscars come for the cartoons.
Yeah.
Is it?
No.
No.
I don't take that as.
Well, I don't think it's not like, you don't.
Oh, yeah. I would have liked to got a nomination for album of the year or something one of those times.
Yeah.
But I knew that's not coming. that awards are not. It's easy to say this, but I actually really do mean it.
Yeah.
They're not a measure of anything that I accept as valid.
They're a measure of PR.
Yeah, they very often are.
Yeah, but those songs, it's weird. The songs that you did for the animated films were not. They weren't a compromise. They sound like Randy Newman songs.
No, they sound like me.
Yeah,
they do. But the lyrics are. what they wanted
right.
was they wanted to emphasize the friendship, so I said it 4 times. and that was
That's
it.
the job.
Yeah. I'm glad. I think one of the things that I'm confident about that I do best is write to assignment.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want an Albanian waltz about a goat herd, I could do it.
Yeah, do a little research.
Yeah.
Pull it together.
And then just do it. Yeah.
I mean, I guess left to your own devices, it still seems to me difficult to believe that, like, given all the albums that you did outside of, soundtracks.
Yeah.
That, you're compelled to write songs, whether you're on assignment or not.
I'm not.
You keep
I
saying
don't do
that.
it.
You got a record coming out. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I do. I mean, but it's like, you remember Singing in the Rain?
Yeah.
There was a montage.
Yeah.
About their careers. And when they started their careers, they were in low form of burlesque. And they're going all over the stage, moving around.
Yeah.
The next one, they're doing a review somewhere, St. Louis, and they're a little slowed down. Yeah. By the time they're in the Ziegfeld Follies, at the end of this montage, they're barely moving around. They're just a gesture, a little gesture.
Yeah.
Newman sings greatest hits of, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the 70s, I put out three records, 4 records, I don't know. Lately, they've all been like 10 years apart. I mean, and there's no reason for it. Well, I was doing movies somewhat, but still. Yeah, I do feel compelled. The way I feel compelled is that I don't want to be dying and say, oh, I wish I'd written this. It's stupid, but I do feel that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you did the Faust project.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't an assignment.
No, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
There was so much different stuff going on, people dancing to stuff, and there was always something to work on.
And it was constructed as, what would you call it? It
was constructed as a Broadway vehicle.
Yeah, like a musical.
Yeah, it was a musical, straight ahead.
Yeah.
But and it had, the critics liked the score and didn't like the book, not
the musical book.
Not Gert's fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I liked it.
Yeah. It's a good story.
In a way, that's a phenomenal story. It's great. The devil, and I love all that. I love stuff about heaven. Yeah. And I've written a number of songs where I got heaven in it.
And God talking.
God's in it.
He's one of your favorite characters.
Yeah, he really is. And the devil, the devil's, it's like God's desk is completely clear, and the devil's like got tons of stuff, and he doesn't understand how this guy can beat him. That's what I did. And they couldn't comprehend what I was getting at.
No, so it didn't, you ran it a couple of times.
Didn't get past Indiana.
Oh, really?
Chicago.
But we did
it in San Diego and in Chicago.
Yeah, I remember listening to the album of it.
Goodman Theater, yeah.
And but is that something you still want to do, a musical?
No.
It's done.
It was an unwelcoming atmosphere.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a tough.
It wasn't like, come on,
Right. Well, it seems like not like everything else. It's got to be spectacular. Everything's a superhero speed.
Yeah, I don't know what it's got to be, but they've got this. Maybe things have changed with something that's genuinely funny, like Book of Mormon, and worked. But the form of it, you have to have a big opening number, and there are certain forms that you have to follow.
Right.
And I don't know whether Book of Mormon had that or not.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it's funny.
I gotta see it.
Yeah, you should. I mean, it's really what musical comedy should be.
Oh, great. Yeah. Did anyone ever do like a big, like a musical based on the songs of Randy Newman?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
3 times.
Yeah?
I don't know. I had problems with it, but it was noble efforts in each case, yeah.
Now, one of the persons I recently got into in sort of a compulsive way a couple of years ago was Harry Nelson.
Yeah.
And, and he did that amazing record of your songs.
It's quite a thing, to do for someone who wrote as well as he did, to do an album of...
Nilsson Plays Newman.
Yeah.
And were you guys friends?
Yeah, we were.
He was kind of an amazing guy, right?
He was.
He's one of those guys that had his problems, but
he had a low opinion of himself.
Yeah.
We all did to some extent, but he really did.
Hell of a voice, though, huh?
Hell of a voice.
Oh my God!
And he really could sing. I don't. All of a sudden, we were close.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I never saw him again.
Oh yeah. Well, that's.
I don't know what it was.
Booze.
Yeah, that could do it.
Your brain twists up.
Thinking about that, there's a reason why alcohol came down through the years rather than something else. I think it's like a powerful thing.
Oh yeah, it's always
it's a bigger deal than maybe the other stuff is.
Well, yeah, it's like it's a real Jekyll and Hyde shit, man. It's a real kind of personality changer. I don't know why, but it's the most accessible thing. You would think weed now, but there's something about alcohol.
When Coke was in big,
that couldn't last.
I knew. Yeah, people don't want to be sped up. They want. You knew either heroin or alcohol is coming. Both, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, those are the ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking. Well, you're lucky you have dodged that, and that was not something that
I didn't like
compelled you
that much.
No.
No.
Yeah, because eventually it's just you alone wondering if you're going to die.
Yeah.
It's always going to end up there.
And wondering why is it you're seeing someone from 14 years ago? Hi, mind if I come over?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Or hanging out with a guy you don't know for 3 days.
That's right.
Who's that guy? How do I get him out of my house?
In Long Beach.
Yeah. So the song, there's a song on this new record too that seems to be about a son, is it?
Which one?
Wandering Boy?
Not directly.
Yeah, it's a sweet, sad song.
It's a very sad song. Yeah, it's about. I used to go to, L.A. You grew up here or
no, Albuquerque.
But L.A. doesn't have any sense of community in some ways.
Yeah,
and I knew a lot of people say from Cleveland.
Yeah,
and they've had parades. And parties, and they wanted to be out of Cleveland.
Yeah,
but they did have that.
Yeah,
and I'd go to this one guy's house in the neighborhood every year, and then I'd miss 3 years, 4 years, and you'd see a kid.
Yeah.
And then 20 years later, I say, oh yeah, and I say, what happened to so and so? And sometimes there's holes.
Yeah.
The kid was, as you were saying earlier, fell out.
Yeah.
And I thought about that and how it would be if your kid had. Were the homeless people you see on Ocean Avenue and downtown.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's what the song is.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those gut punchers.
It does work that way. Yeah. In person.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of your songs are sort of like that because they leave that space to have the emotion.
Best of them.
Yeah.
Do. Yeah.
And the other song that I was obsessed with, I don't know where it came from, is Last Night I Had a Dream. You were in it and I was in it with you. Yeah.
It's funny, yeah.
Like that song, there's just something about, honey, can you tell me what your name is? It's just like
it's very 70s.
Yeah, but it's insulting and weird.
Yeah.
That because what my mind goes is like whatever was going on in the barn was not good, and there were a lot of men involved.
That's right.
And she didn't know you.
Yeah.
Why do you think that was 70s?
Because of this vaguely psychedelic nature of events.
Yeah, and also that sound.
And we made the Attempt, that was the second record, I made a single of that song with 4 electric guitars.
Yeah.
Thinking, that'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's really one of the worst records ever made.
Now, okay, I keep backtracking, but with Sail Away, do you see Good Old Boys and Sail Away as concept records in a way? Like, are they whole pieces?
Good Old Boys was almost a whole piece and was a whole southern piece.
Yeah.
Part of it was by Huey Long a bit.
The Kingfish song?
Yeah, and Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
The Flood was in 27. And about the guy, Birmingham, and then I thought I had to write another song to explain the guy. After I wrote Rednecks Birmingham.
Yeah.
So I wrote Marie and Roland.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a concept album. Sail Away, no. I don't see it as such.
I always felt like Sail Away was some sort of weird kind of, like, This Is America record.
Well, I'm interested in America very much.
Yeah.
And written about it, trying to think of what was on there. God Song's on there, isn't it?
Yeah. It was, that's a good song. It was, God Song, You Can Leave Your Hat On.
Yeah.
Memo to My Son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, I like that.
Burn On.
Memo.
Yeah.
Burn On about Cleveland, the river.
Yeah. Now, were these things that you would sit and think about, or these things that you drove past?
The river I saw.
Yeah.
In Cleveland on fire.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Well, on television. I saw it,
Sure. Right.
Just like our president, a lot of television.
Yeah.
The flood I read,
of course.
it was in my family, where they do stuff like that. And I read a biography of Huey Long.
Yeah.
That was good. Better than All the King's Men, I thought.
Yeah. And You Can Leave Your Hat On. That one got some traction too, right?
Yeah, it did. But it got traction when someone did it like a sixth higher. And they, baby, take off, when they did it way up like that.
Right.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, yours was a little darker, a little more menacing, and then all of a sudden it becomes this sort of soul song where just...
Exactly. I mean, I liked it the way I did with Cooter, you could barely hear me sing it.
Yeah.
But the success it had was when Tom Jones and Joe Cocker took it up.
Yeah. Joe Cocker. That guy could sing too.
He really could sing.
It's interesting, the tone. Like, I wonder how you experience that, because even with I talked to Springsteen, which was kind of amazing.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But like, if you hear the original version of Born in the USA, versus...
That's right.
Like, when you have a song that goes out there, obviously you want people to play the songs, but when they do something that is contrary to the tone, and that was something he did on his own, I don't know what the reasons were. I didn't get into specifics with him, but the folk version of Born in the USA is a dark song.
It is, yeah.
Oof. But like when someone else does what you just said they did to your song, is there a moment where you're like, what are they doing to my kid?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not, I didn't mean it as celebration.
Right.
But, so what?
Who are you to moralize or begrudge people?
No, I'm not, did a tap them on the shoulder and know that's wrong.
Yeah. It's a much more dark song. It's not
I mean, that's why I stopped. When people would say, gee, this is a great song, and I would say, I don't like that one much. Because, it makes you think that you think they're stupid or
oh, yeah, I learned that the hard way. Just keep your thoughts to yourself.
That's one you learn the hard way.
Right, that song? Why are you doing that song?
Yeah.
You say that to Three Dog Night, you would have been a few bucks lighter.
I tried to say it, and was stopped.
Oh, really?
Well, when I heard the record, I said, they had 8 number 1 records in a row or something like that, and I didn't want to be responsible for them not doing it. And I was going to call them and say, well, maybe don't release it as a single.
Mama told me when not to come.
But I was going to call them, but Lenny stopped me, or someone did.
Yeah, just let him do it.
And let it.
And it was a big hit, right?
It was, yeah. It was number 1, I think. Number 1 or number 2.
So what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing with yourself now? Are you going to go on the road?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, once I get into it. But
people come out, they're happy to see you.
Yeah, they're happy to see me. I think, they come out better now than they ever have, I think.
Oh, really?
So,
what's the audience mostly?
Pseudo-intellectuals.
Yeah.
The audience is,
what's the age?
40, over 40, but with more 20-year-olds than I've seen.
Oh, yeah?
In 30 years, yeah.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about music, man, is that like anybody can come to it at any point in their life, and it's you're never late to the party.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That is, and I'm always surprised when it's like a festival, and I've been the last act in some festivals.
Yeah.
And there are people packed out, and you drive by them, and they're just packing up to go. This was before I got on.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just amazing that people will endure that. Yeah.
Sure, man.
Because I don't think I'd do it.
Oh, yeah, I don't. Like I say that when I perform comedy sometimes. It's like, I don't know how to have a good time. I'm not sure I would have come to this show.
Yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't have. But
thank God they do.
Thank God they do.
Yeah.
And they're right. It's better than just, reading or sitting home watching television, maybe.
Why don't you do another live record?
I don't know. There's no point to it for me.
Oh.
I don't think. It's not what I do.
Where was that one in 1970 or whatever recorded?
Bitter End.
Yeah.
So I did Lonely at the Top in front of about 4 people on the third show. Where they do, we're Friday and Saturday at 3 shows.
Sure. Both nights?
Yeah, both nights.
Oh my God. So you're recording your live album and 4 people on the third show on Saturday?
It was about that.
It was Lonely at the Top.
Yeah.
But those are beautiful moments, aren't they?
Yes.
Those
are the awful moments sometimes are the things that you remember most, and they're not so awful.
Right.
They are beautiful moments.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what the story the 4 people told. We saw him once. There's just me and 2 other guys. It was the best show we ever saw.
Yeah. And you can hear myself on Last Night I Had a Dream. I'm applauding.
That's me.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I hope this was a good experience.
Very. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Randy. Amazing. An amazing day for me that I think back on. There's a few that I think back on. And I'm just so glad I had that conversation. I had that opportunity to do that, and that we got along. Randy Newman's new record, Dark Matter, will be released on August 4th. Soon. Coming up. Oh, yeah, don't forget to check out Room 104, the new anthology series from creators and executive producers Marc and Jay Duplass, premiering July 28th. At 11:30 p.m. on HBO. Set in a single room of an average American motel, each episode of Room 104 tells the story of different assorted characters who passed through it, with performances by James Van Der Beek, Jay Duplass, and Orlando Jones. Each episode plays like a mini-movie, some comedy, some drama, some horror. One room, infinite possibilities. Room 104 premieres July 28th at 11:30 p.m. on HBO. So that's it. I don't know what do I do next? When do I get to talk to Albert Brooks? Hey, by the way, Vice President Al Gore is supposed to come by, and on the show soon. So hopefully that'll be before the sky catches on fire. Anywho, don't say that. Anyhow, I haven't played guitar in a while because I think there was something about playing with musicians and doing the work on songs that mildly diminished my confidence in myself. But I cleaned everything up in the garage, and I've gone through a lot of pedals and boxed a lot of stuff up, and maybe I'll just noodle for a second. Like the old days, like a few weeks ago. Boomer lives! Book plate. Dig it. You good? All right. So, also I forgot to mention that, as many of you know, the great Martin Landau died last week. And I had one of the most amazing conversations with him about a lot of things, but about acting a lot. And it was very helpful to me. And I'm planning on re-listening to it myself if we get picked up for another season of Glow. We haven't heard yet, but I just want to make sure that I'm engaging as well as I could be. But we can all listen to that episode because we'll keep that episode in the free feed. It's episode 779, and it's a great conversation about acting, about film, about life, and it was he's going to be missed. He lived a good long life. So, speaking about good long lives, what I've been doing, as opposed to going to Vancouver, as I've been locking into my life, doing work around the house. I cleaned the garage It's clean. Vacuumed it, dusted it, got rid of shit, organized a lot of papers, went through stuff, and I dug up an old, it's what you call an 8th step list in the recovery jargon in the program, 12-step program. And it's one of these things where you make a list of all the people you've harmed and you're willing to make an amends. Now, many of you have heard me make amends before, on this show. But this is one of the first lists I ever made when I got sober almost 18 years ago. It'll be 18 years August 9th. And it's just very weird to see this list. I don't know where it was. It was here in a pile of papers. And I almost threw it out. I thought I threw it out. And I didn't get to a lot of them, man. And some of them I don't know if I need to make. And so I just was going through it. And let's just go through it real quick. Ex-wives. Yeah, those I did. I did those pretty effectively. My brother, my mom, my dad, yup. My ex-in-laws. Yeah, it's outstanding. I should do that one. Amy, yeah, we're good. Devin, good. Sarah, we're good. Gail, good. Alan, I'm not clear what I have to do there. Janet, I think we're okay. Kathy, we're okay. Bob, I don't know you anything. Rolf, I think we're all right. Gary, I don't even know if you're alive. Oh, here's a big bunch of teachers. Mr. Ross, Mrs. Block, Mr. Sanderson, Mrs. Randall, Mrs. Weber, Mrs. Croco, Mr. Clout. Yeah, I was difficult. I apologize. And I'm sorry for making you cry, Mrs. Weber. Brill, I'm okay with. Adam Sandler, pending. Cliff, dude, I know what this is about. This is about some party that happened in a hotel room. There's a bunch of us. I think I made out with your sister for 10 minutes. And I don't know if I owe you an apology because I was sort of a stock market so good. Because when Americans are terrified, we turn to stuff. Oh, my God, this is horrendous. I need some new shoes. I need a car. I imagine someone should check the traffic on the free porn sites. It's got to be out of control. Some people turn to God. Other people turn to stuff. Shiny stuff, moving stuff, things that make me feel good, things that make me look at myself and go, yay, things that go fast. Anything to get me away from this very in-my-face existential panic that is founded in reality, not just the ingrained consciousness of one's mortality, but to have it in your face every day and in the hands of somebody else that you have no fucking control over. Yeah, that'll lead you right to your dick. Right to the store, right to the ice cream pint, right to the comedy club, right to Amazon, right, whatever. That's the way the American economy works. Holy shit, I can't deal. Hey, will that thing make me feel better? How much is it? Hey, look, if you're hiring, folks, listen up. Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? Finding great talent can be tough. Thankfully, with ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100-plus job sites with just one click. Then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job. Better than anyone else, folks. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, WTF listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Maron. All right? So if you want to try it for free, get going to ZipRecruiter.com/Maron. Okay? All right. Oh, yeah, you know what? Also, this is exciting. This is getting more exciting because the book, you know, as I've told you, we've got a book coming out in October called Waiting for the Punch, Words to Live By from the WTF podcast. And I kind of want to give you a good idea of what the book is about. But I also want to say that there's already feedback coming in from the few copies that are out in the world that we gave away at BookCon, and some people have gotten hold of them. it's really compelling and powerful, and I'm very proud of it. Like, because one of my favorite books is Please Kill Me, The Uncensored Oral History of Punk by Legs McNeil and Gillian McCain. And we wanted to make some. Hey folks, listen up. From the creators and executive producers Mark and Jay Duplass comes a new anthology series called Room 104, premiering July 28th at 11:30 p.m. on HBO. Set in a single room of an average American motel, each episode of Room 104 tells the story of different assorted characters who pass through it. With performances by James Vanderbeek, Jay Duplass, and Orlando Jones, each episode plays like a mini movie, ranging from comedy to drama to horror, with the tone, the characters, and the era all changing from one week to the next. One room, infinite possibilities. Room 104 premieres July 28th at 11:30 p.m. on HBO. Okay? All right. So let's do our show. The show, my show, this show. Okay? All right.
Lock the gate!
All right, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers, what the fuck buddies, what the fucking ears, what the fuckaroos? What the fuckadelics? What's happening? I'm Marc Maron. This is my podcast, WTF. Thank you for tuning in, for making the choice, for hanging out with me and my mind, and my guests, and my mouth, and my weird lisp, and the moving lozenge in my mouth on occasion. I gotta get off them again. I think my body is turned on them. So it's not having the same effect anymore. Randy Newman is on the show today, and I can't tell you what a honor it was for me to have him in here, because I love him. I love his work. I've always liked him as a person. When I was a kid, obviously I don't know him. I never met him before, but he was one of the first guys that really blew my mind when I was turned on to his music by a kid I used to ride a bus with. And I think the first records I had were Good Old Boys and Sail Away, and must have been in junior high. And I was just sort of like, man, this stuff is beautiful. It's poignant. It's cutting. It's funny. I loved him, and I always have loved him. And he used to appear on Letterman, and he was hilarious. And I just tell you, for years I've been trying to get him on this show, and you're going to hear it today. And I think I managed the fanboyness. This was not an all-out fanboy interview. I was engaged and interested, and it wasn't just me, being beside myself. Yeah, man, I'm all right. I'm out there. I'm doing the comedy. I'm doing the new stuff. It's so funny. There's a comedy boom. People are like, what's happening? Why is there a comedy boom? Because when people are terrified of the end of the world on a daily basis, they tend to seek some relief and distraction. And hey, why is the economy so good still? Why is this?
What happens as you get older, you start thinking about, that.
Yeah.
And also that you don't want to spend any time with anybody that's going to annoy you or make it uncomfortable. And as you get older, you realize that there are more and more people that annoy you. So you limit your world keeps narrowing and getting narrower.
And this happens at a subconscious level or a conscious level?
I think it's unconscious. I don't think you're consciously saying, I think I'm going to narrow my world now. No, you think, I don't really like that person that much. So why should I stay? It's like when you're young, you'd never leave a movie theater until the movie's over.
Right.
Now you go, I don't really like, why do I have to watch the last hour of this piece of crap? Because I have such a limited time on the planet.
And now with phones and computers, it's like all the time is eaten up, unnecessarily eaten up.
Yes.
And
you trick yourself into believing
you're working.
That you're actually either working or communicating with people.
Right.
I'm texting, I'm emailing, you're not talking to anybody.
Exactly.
You're talking to the computer.
Right. And actually talking to people is like, it's
like we're doing now.
It becomes exhausting.
It is exhausting.
If you could text somebody, it's like,
oh boy,
I don't gotta talk to that guy.
I'm so happy to not have to talk to him. Yeah. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
You look at this show like Friends, right? Friends, the show Friends.
It's so funny.
And you've got all these people.
Yeah.
They're in their, I guess, their 20s or something.
Right.
And they're hanging out with each other. And I guess that's what you do. You go in packs. But when you get into your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you don't do that anymore.
You got kids.
You got kids. You hang out with them. And then when you get older, you don't have that, hey, let's go and hang out at the coffee shop. They don't do it.
Maybe you get one guy.
Yeah, one guy.
I mean, I talked to your father. I was at the house you grew up in, I think.
Yeah.
And he says he hangs out with Mel every night.
Mel and my dad every single night.
Really? Every night?
Yeah, virtually every night.
That's really something.
Listen, it's wonderful that they have each other. They met each other when they were in their 20s doing the, shows. And to have that kind of bond, and that bond to stick, and they make each other laugh, they enjoy each other's company. They both lost their spouses recently, so they have that. And they say that, they watch any movie that has Secure the Perimeter in it. They watch it.
That was Conan O'Brien, Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, and Rob Reiner, as you'll read in Chapter 4 of Waiting for the Punch. You can pre-order your copy now, and starting today, we've got a little bonus for anyone who pre-orders the book. When you send in your proof of purchase, we'll send you a special Waiting for the Punch book plate signed by me that you can stick right on the inside cover. Just go to WTFpod.com and click on book at the top of the page, or click on the cover of the book anywhere on the site. Then pre-order the book to get your signed book thing as good as that book. All right? So Waiting for the Punch is actually a deep dive into some of the most common themes that come up over and over on this show. Relationships, failure, success, addiction, mental health, parenting. Each chapter is a different theme, and we have conversations with more than 150 people in the book who have all been on this show, all chiming in together about these shared experiences and ideas. And it was a hell of a thing to wrangle. Brendan McDonald is the genius of the editing, the compiling. Guy's got a memory like a steel trap. Is that that saying? But anyways, look, I want to give you an example, and I think this will work. In the chapter on relationships, you've got Conan O'Brien, Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, and Rob Reiner all talking about friendship. These were 4 separate interviews done over several years, but the way it's arranged in the book, it's all part of one big conversation. All right, so take a listen to this.
When I came out to Los Angeles, I met all these people.
85?
In 85, I came out here, and over time I met all these people, and it's the same cast of characters.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone just keeps popping up, and it is funny that you're assigned a set of characters when you're born, and they keep showing up in your life, and that's just how it works.
Surprise!
Yeah, oh, it's you again. I really believe that there is a force in the universe that has a sense of humor. These things are just too
it's beyond
weird.
coincidence.
Yeah.
And then sometimes Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
I get Carl to come up.
You spend a lot of time with him still, right?
Oh yeah. Almost every other night.
Yeah.
3 nights a week I'll be at Carl's house.
Yeah.
Carl loves more than anything what he calls realies that we do. And Carl is so proud that we do them only for ourselves. We don't do them for an audience. We don't do them for another person.
You just try to one-up each other?
Yeah. We try to really amaze each other with where we're going with our minds. You know?
Yeah.
And we're still pretty good at it.
So you guys just sit and hang out for an hour or two?
Well, about 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And sometimes while we're watching something that's not terribly, he'll fall asleep, and I won't wake him because he drives home, and I'm saying he probably better he sleeps here than falls asleep behind the wheel.
What was that thing he told me about movies, that you like watching movies with certain phrases in them?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
What?
And it started with the Bourne, the Bourne series.
Yeah.
And the phrases are, secure the perimeter, lock all doors. And if one character in the movie says, get some rest. If those words are in the movie, that movie's a good movie.
And as you get older, you don't see people as much anymore.
No, that's true. And why do you think that is?
Time and...
I think it has to do, I really believe, that whole thing they say, where you're born alone, you die alone, that bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think